Uranium Friends, Saturday night, day before the Super Bowl. I've got nothing going on because the devil is having a big party tomorrow. So, some charts. And someone on Twitter had asked me about OKLO because it's in a blue sky breakout. And it really was a technical analysis question more than anything else, right? Or how does one handle blue sky breakouts? What's your target area? What's your stop area? Yada, yada. So, OKLO is a great example of a blue sky breakout, right? So, now, before we go any further, you may have recalled back in maybe a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago, I came up with a target of, what did I say, 41, right? That was my target, right? At 41. I had the devil here and everything, right? The Japanese ogre, the Japanese man-eater, whatever it was, right? So when OKLO was trading down in here, um, basically what my point was is that once you get a blue sky breakout, you can't delineate or define any targets because there's no trading above, and this is hence why it's called a blue sky breakout. So how do you determine levels, targets? Well, this is where the Fibonacci retracement tool comes in, right? So I took this fib run from here to here, right? Because that's when consolidation started, a little bit of a pivot, blah blah blah, right? So once I made this run, um, the 23% retracement held, right? So if you trade with the fibs, if someone trades or plays with the fibs, they know to look. If it bounces off the 23% retracement, there's a chance that it gets to the 23% extension. So that is how I came up with my target when there was no trading up here, right? So we're talking about when it was down here. So, all right. So that target was hit, right? And I sold partials and I got to reload, right? So then I posted again, my next target was around 60 bucks, that 60 area. And what did we get to? 59.14. So why choose 60? All right. So, yeah, okay, this makes some sense, the 23% extension. So why choose 60? Well, one, it's a whole number. And Market Psychology 101 loves the whole number, right? So 60 is a natural thing. And then without having the numbers up here, this was probably somewhere around the 382 extension. So that was kind of like my next target. Now I would bet if you moved your fibs on these pivots here, you could probably find some sort of level. But I don't have to go too nuts, right? So anyway, I was right here. I was right here. Hey, congratulations, right? So originally the question is, how do you handle a blue sky breakout? Well, you develop targets. I develop them based upon whole numbers and Fibonacci extensions. That was done. It's done twice. I was right twice. Both calls I made were correct. I'm not patting myself on the back. Yay for me. Yay for anybody that listened. Hopefully you learned something from it, right? So, of course, what did I do? I had a target. I trimmed partials, right? I'm going to be looking for a reload. So the question becomes now, if I'm still holding, which I am, by the way, um, how am I going to manage this now, right? So I think it's clear that for anyone who's been following me, this is how I manage stuff. I sell partials into profit. So the remaining positions, the runners or remaining positions, they stay risk free. So even if they come down to worst case scenario, my original entry point on that particular lot, I stop out and I still made money on the particular trade and I never lost anything. I didn't give any profits back other than what I left as runners. So that's my risk assessment, right? So what else can we look to here to define where do I want to stop, right? So we have options, right? You may decide to use moving averages, right? So, I mean, it's clear that OKLO is a this is the 5 EMA, the yellow line. It's a daily 5 EMA rider, right? It gets its little undercuts into the daily 12. So, since I sold already, I'm looking for a reload over here, right? There might be people who say I'm stopping out. It could be, and that would be perfectly okay, right? But a new breakout level right where the 12 EMA is trading, to me, it's going to be a reload zone, right? And I can happily and gladly do that and hope that there's a pullback because I sold up into here, right? I'm still holding shares from down in here. Okay, this is the trading stuff that I picked up along the way in here. Um, there's also what we call a daily stair step, right? So every single day since this move has gone up, other than this particular day, I wonder if that's DeepSeek. It might have been. I don't know. Or maybe this was DeepSeek. All right. It just had this one undercut day, but this is a just clear daily stair step up, right? So no true daily consolidation has occurred since January 27th, right? So um, a trader may decide that they just want to let this thing run until daily consolidation occurs. And once daily consolidation occurs, then they can say, all right, I'm going to let my runner stop out in profit, I'm sure, uh, and then just take it from there, right? So if you're chasing up here, that's a different story. Then you have to start to be really careful about how you choose to do that. So you have the moving averages that you can run off of. We have a clear level of the most recent breakout, which is lining up with this moving average. To me, that's a reload zone, quote unquote, right? And it's lining up with the volume profile over here too. So you've got some things, some factors, and it's back to that 23% extension number. So around this 41, 42 area, to me, since I've trimmed, I'm probably going to be taking another stab at it. Since 60 has been hit, I can safely say that maybe 70 becomes the next target. And it's just going to be working on whole numbers. So what does 70 look like? That's probably a 50% extension, maybe even a little bit more. So that's a lot. Um, but anybody who's watched PLTR for the past whatever uh, knows that things can go much longer than we think in both directions. So, yeah, I'm going to be looking for some sort of dip buy on this. It's just too strong of a name to be not thinking about dip buys, right? And then you've got some good volume support in that area, right? So this 41 to 40, the 40 to 42 area, um, there might be stops. Some people's stops might hit there, believe it or not, if they're walking up Fibonacci's or whatever. So that's the explanation I can give anyone for how to handle a blue sky breakout, right? So just remember, blue sky breakouts, there's no resistance. There's no trading levels. There's no volume profiles. There's no bag holders up here. The only bag holders up in this area are the ones who've been buying in here, right? So, those stops might hit, which could get a little bit of a push down into this area. So we'll see. Other than that, it's psychological levels. I would manage my stops personally. I manage them either through a daily stair step pattern or even something to this effect, right? So you could take the hour, let's just say the 4-hour chart, right? So it's a clear uptrend, clear defined uptrend, you know, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, right? So you can, once you lose that 4-hour uptrend, that could be a spot. And now you can choose that on any time frame that you want, be the 15-minute, the hourly, whatever it is. So this is just yet another way to manage a blue sky breakout. Me personally, I like to have my targets thought about, and then I take some profits so I can reload. That's just kind of how I look at it. So there's another. I want to just show something because I did talk about this as well. All right, so up here we have Lightbridge. Over here we have OKLO. Right. So let me just make sure we're on the daily. Yeah. So I posted it and I said as OKLO goes, Lightbridge has been kind of following, right? So these charts are starting to look very similar, right? This is a better move. So Lightbridge is, gets the volatility. It's the float is different. It's just a different stock, but it gets the move. It's kind of been correlating and tracking with OKLO a bit. So I would pay attention to that dynamic as well. So if OKLO, kind of starts to draw down a little bit, the Lightbridge holders might want to see how it reacts there, right? So, but from this point forward, there's a lot of similarities in both of these names, right? Even like down here, right? So the thing is that what I've noticed is that Lightbridge. Now remember, Lightbridge signed a memorandum of understanding with OKLO as well. So that starts. There's the correlation starts. I would assume that MOU came out somewhere around here. So they're trading similar and they lag, right? So let's just look at this particular day, right? If I look at that particular day, I'm just going to show you this because it's interesting to say the least, right? Um, let's just take the arrow and point to that day. Okay. Now, if I come to that arrow on that day, all right, OKLO started making its move already 3 days in advance of that day. Let's just see here. Yep, 3 days in advance, right? So that's like I said, Lightbridge lagged, but then it just followed. Right? It's doing the same thing. It's catching up and following. So I would just keep an eye on that. All right, day scalps, swing trades, shorts. Right. So if you see OKLO kind of start drawing down and Lightbridge hasn't, I don't know. Maybe it's a short opportunity. Listen, correlations, they come and go all the time. So you can't just sit there and rely on a correlation and say, "Oh, devil, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. Look at it. It's Lightbridge is still going up and OKLO is drawing down. Blah 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 blah." Well, if OKLO is drawing down and Lightbridge is still going up, then I would sit there and say, maybe I need to dip by OKLO. But regardless of that, the other thing I want to do is check on similarities with these charts. Look at OKLO, with this spike here, right? And then this drawdown, and then this move, right? So if you look in this section here, looks very similar to this section here. So what did OKLO do? What is possible for SMR to do, right? If it's going to follow suit on this move, hopefully the best case scenario on this, excuse me, pairs trade or correlation trade is OKLO just starts to do something like this. Ready? Hold on. OKLO starts to do something like this, right? Chop around a bit, do some sideways action, and then does SMR catch up? Does SMR with this similarity move here, does it catch up to this move and get that breakout? I don't know. I'm watching for that. I am positioned for that. Not heavily, right? Because SMR is just different. It's acting differently. OKLO is the one that's got the juice. Okay, there's just no question. It's Sam Altman. If you think Sam Altman, whatever you think he's a weirdo, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The guy is a good CEO that knows how to raise capital. He knows how to get investors. He knows how to work his way to get regulation that might favor his company over others. Now, the fundamental side of the story is SMR literally is the only one that has U.S. regulatory approval for their modular design at the moment. So I would keep an eye on this because this action here looks very similar to this action. And I'm looking to see if SMR is going to lag play up, right? And you look at this daily, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It looks like it wants to do it. So I would keep an eye on that. The other thing that you want to see, because these three are just kind of attached at the hip. So this is a bit of a different chart. Right? It did take the dip the way it did. It did get this bounce the way that OKLO did. This is just consolidation here, and it's pretty good consolidation. So I forget who that guy, ANND, whatever it is on Twitter. I responded to him on Twitter. We talked to, he was talking about this setup, and he's right. It's a great setup here. Okay, it's a great. Oh, that's the wrong thing. It's a great setup because, and I posted this on Twitter. It's cheap to find out if you're wrong here. You have a pretty clear level line in the sand here to find out. Now, I'm not gonna try to be like Mr. Bull Poster here or anything because, let's take that stupid line out for a second. There's a lot of upper wicks here, so it's getting sold into every time it tries to make a move. Now, this is shorts, right? There's 23% of the float is short right now. So the shorts are slamming it. If they don't get squeezed soon, they might win this battle. But that's why it's safe to say that this is a great setup where you just know that you're wrong. If this level breaks down, because then the shorts are going to ride this bad boy down a little bit, right? And they could possibly get down into these levels here. So I would just be aware of that dynamic with Nano. SMR looks the best to me as far as a laggard play on this OKLO move. I'm kind of betting a bit on it. I'm not doing anything, but just as a side note, I am not doing anything with size anymore right now. Okay, we're in an absolute headline-driven chop fest of a market. Nobody knows what is going to go on in the next hour, nonetheless, the next day or week. So, I am personally sized down on a lot of things. If I'm taking a directional call option play, I'm giving it a ton of time. And that's the deal. All right. So I would keep an eye on that. Again, if you're first listening to me, NUKZ is the ETF that you want to be keeping an eye on for these nuclear power plant builders. And that'll be that. Devil is over and out. Go Eagles.